Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Has NBC News retained Fusion GPS? They back on the job? NBC News reporting a 64-page document asserting an elaborate conspiracy theory involving Joe Biden's son in business in China that was later disseminated by close associates of President Trump appears to be the work of a fake intelligence firm. The document, which went viral on the right-wing internet a month before the purported leak of files, this is NBC News reporting, before the purported leak of files from Hunter Biden's laptop, was said to be authored by a Swiss security analyst named Martin Aspen, who doesn't exist, according to analysis by disinformation researchers, which I guess is synonymous with NBC researchers. Disinformation researchers say Aspen is a fabricated identity, that his profile picture was created by an artificial intelligence face generator. The firm he lists as his previous employer tells NBC News nobody by that name ever worked for the company. The document and its spread have become part of a wider effort to smear, interesting choice of word, Hunter Biden and weaken Joe Biden's presidential campaign. One of the original posters of the document, Christopher Balding, took credit for writing parts of the document and said Aspen doesn't exist. And it goes on from there. Kim Strassel, writing over at the Wall Street Journal. I can say I have never seen this document, nor have I read anything quoting in it. I can also say that it therefore bears zero relevance on the legitimate evidence about Hunter Biden's business via laptop and Bobulinski. Exactly. As usual, Kim Strassel is right on point. So, seriously, we're going from ignoring it to trying to muddy the waters with a version of the Steele dossier? Is that what NBC News is doing? Now are we going to have the other news agencies report on NBC News and investigate what NBC News is contending? Or are we just going to have them amplify what NBC News is reporting and ignore exactly what Kim Strassel has raised? All of the evidence presented that is, that certainly demands questions, if not provides incontrovertible evidence that Hunter Biden, Joe Biden, the business operations, this was a family affair. For more on this, we're pleased to be joined by Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, host of Special Report, weekdays 5 p.m. Chicago time. Also, the number one best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to Win World War II. Bret, it just gets a bit sillier and sillier, it seems.
It does. Good morning. It's, we are in the final days, and it is something. I haven't read all 64 pages. I read kind of the summary of that document. And I think a couple of things. One is it doesn't address Tony Bobulinski or the emails and texts that he has. It doesn't address, his talk with the FBI and characterization, as he's said, as a material witness. And it doesn't, talk about the authenticity of the actual emails. Now, is it shady that there's some, firm that designed to disseminate this stuff? Yes. And if all of that is true in that document, of course, yeah, it's all worth looking into. But at this point, if you're not going to have covered any of it, and then that's your coverage of it, it begs a couple of more questions about some of the substance.
Well, two points. One is, boy, if only NBC News had the same alacrity when it came to the Steele dossier. Number two, this is great news for the Biden campaign. Now Joe Biden can take this NBC News report. He can go out on the trail. He can stand at the podium, wave it around, and say, see, I told you it was a smear campaign. It was all garbage, and then hold himself out for questions from the press corps.
Right. Well, that's essentially what they were doing. Now they just have this document to do it. And, I'm not discounting the reporting of those people because, there may be this organization that was set up to disseminate information. And that raises all kinds of questions. But it's aside from the legitimacy of the guy who's coming forward, who said he met with Joe Biden twice, and Joe Biden says he's never talked about Hunter Biden's business dealings. Big picture, this issue doesn't move, I don't think, a lot of voters. But I do think that the broad censorship issue touches on some voters that just get really upset about, this or social media or other things that they feel somebody is controlling what they're seeing.
But is there anybody from the media that's going to have access to Joe Biden before Tuesday's election? Or is he protecting himself and just speaking at rallies and then going back home?
Yeah, there's not going to be a sit-down interview. I doubt it. It's too risky. I mean, I don't even think President Trump's doing any sit-down interviews. He's just doing rallies. And, you're at crunch time. You're at get out the vote. And, you can't afford a news story from whatever comes out of it.
Just one other point on the press before this story yesterday. Of course, the big news this week was that somebody from the steno pool at DHS wrote an anonymous op-ed about President Trump 3 years ago, but they couldn't make time to take any interest in Tucker Carlson's interview of Bob Alinsky or all the evidence, the text messages and the documents that he presented, ask any questions. That to me is a form of censorship without just, shutting down somebody's Twitter account. So I think that actually feeds into the cynicism and fear Americans have about where this country is going in terms of being a free one, the way that the press has beclowned themselves this week.
No, I agree with you, and that's what I'm trying to say. Is like from a 30,000-foot perspective, I think that there are signs that could impact the election as far as people who are concerned broadly about all of these things, and they add up collectively. It's not just the Bob Alinsky blackout. It's not just the anonymous lifting up of a deputy chief of staff of DHS to get a full-page New York Times op-ed. It's all of it, and so collectively it does. I don't think the Hunter Biden story is going to get resolved, in 3 days.
No.
And so you're going to have this kind of story that continues or doesn't.
How did you receive House Republican leader Kevin McCarthy's letter to all the network presidents saying, hey, I know this is sort of pro forma, but there is a point here. Don't call the election before everybody's voted because to do so would be to be disenfranchising Americans from their from voting, and I know there's a rush to be first to declare the state or the election more generally, but just to exercise some restraint. That's not going to happen. But there is something that's a nuance to that call that's a little bit different this time around, and that is all the litigation that's still pending in swing states that relate to the administration of the elections and the counting of the elections, and when absentee ballots must be postmarked or not postmarked and received in order to be counted. And that sort of context needs to be provided in the reporting, because if it does come down to a few jurisdictions and a few states, many of those states have pending litigation associated with how they're doing their elections.
Well, that's right. And so it's a lot more difficult this time. It's a lot more complicated. We're going to be as transparent as we can. Our decision desk has got a lot of great data, not only obviously the raw vote total, but our own voter survey and analysis. And then we will have talked to all of the secretaries of state about the vote that's still out, that hasn't been received. And there'll be a lot of math on, on election night. And there will not be a trigger finger as far as making calls to be first. We'll make calls to be accurate. So it may be longer. It may be a longer night. It may not be that night.
Right.
It may be, several days.
Are you going to stay on the air several days straight?
Maybe. I mean, that would be really tough. There's not enough Red Bull.
Well, also, I mean, it takes journalists that long to do simple math anyway.
Well,
I mean,
it's,
that's true. They told me there'd be no math.
With respect to sort of talking about this and game planning the coverage. So, do you guys talk about some of the theories out there too, like the red mirage that more people will vote for, more Republicans vote on Election Day, so it could appear that Trump won states, and then you have to wait for the next couple days and get a sense of what the distribution of absentee ballots may be and you may see see states move, I should say, into the Biden column. How have you guys addressed theories like that?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of stuff out there that's not going to factor in. Remember, 80 plus million people have already voted. 80 plus million. That is huge. That's 58 million people total voted early in 2016. So 80 plus million, and most of those states, that's going to pop up first. Those numbers will be first. So if anything, it's a blue mirage before you get the red mirage. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Biden's leading in the early vote in a lot of these states. So I think we're just going to look at the numbers and look at what the states tell us. And we're not making any early calls at all these pieces that are saying, oh, Fox is going to see all these red numbers and then make a call. I mean, our decision desk has led the way on calls in years past. So
that's right.
We will continue to.
He is Bret Baier, Fox News anchor, special report, 5 p.m. weekdays, Chicago time. Also, #1 best-selling author of 3 Days at the Brink, FDR's Daring Gamble to Win World War II. Godspeed on election night, Bret. Good luck with the math.
All right, we'll see you guys.
Thank you. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Balance of Nature's fruits and vegetables in a capsule. Changing the world, one life at a time.
We hadn't even heard of your product. Our son called us and said, you two need to be using this. And, I love it. It really seems to be helping. My energy levels are not always great, but for the last couple of months, it seems to be improving. But it was really strange because our son doesn't recommend a lot of products to us. He's not like that with us. He says, you're my parents. I'm not yours. I'm not telling you what to do. But with this one, he said, no, I think you really need to do this. And our son was right. We need to be doing this.
Get a wide variety of all your daily recommended servings of whole fruits and vegetables without having to leave your home. Right now, Balance of Nature is offering free shipping and 35% off on any new preferred order. Call 1-800-2468-751 or go to balanceofnature.com and use discount code CHICAGO.
Okay, you've heard me talking about Northridge Prep on the air for eons, but to really get it, you need to see it, not just hear it. You need to see how much the students love being there. Every day you see them walking out laughing and smiling. Why? Learn why at Northridge Prep's Open House Series, both available both online and in person. The students respect and enjoy their teachers. They know they're getting challenged, and they're making lifelong friends. Northridge Prep is one of the few high schools in Chicago open 100% in person 5 days a week. It wasn't easy. They knocked down walls, they rented mobile homes, hired extra staff, installed Zoom equipment to live stream every class. That's how dedicated they are to the mission of building men. So if your son is entering grades 6 through 12, I urge you to learn about Northridge Prep's open house seminars online. For details, check it out at northridgeprep.org. That's northridgeprep.org.
You can change a child's life with the joy of a simple gift. Samaritan's Purse continues to share the hope of the gospel with children around the world through Operation Christmas Child. But in the midst of a global pandemic, we need your help